is our president. Now I'm talking about Barack Obama because the job that President Bush started was not finished. So in comes Obama, and when he was campaigning, he was a new and fresh and beautiful idea, but when he gets into office, he becomes the extension of the policies of the neoconservatives. They surrounded Bush, they surrounded Barack Obama, and now just 2 weeks ago in Washington, there was all of these people who are behind the drones. And they were saying that in these drones that go out to kill people that America feels are a threat to their policies, none of that happens without Barack Obama's signature. So you took a man, we gave you the best that we had, but you took him, you gave him the Peace Prize, and then the neocons and that shadow government begins to guide the policies of America. And now here's what we have. Now, I'm going to come back to Mr. Trump in a minute. Hillary Clinton was the biggest advocate for the destruction of Libya and Muammar Gaddafi. Gaddafi was my friend. I know him as a revolutionary. He was against America's foreign policy objectives, and he stood out. That man died, but he led his country. They had no debt. There's no country on earth that doesn't have debt, but Libya didn't have debt. Libya gave some of the oil money back to all the citizens. Libya armed the whole country and had depots where if anything happened, they could go and get arms. A man who is a despot does not arm his people that they can be manipulated to come against him. But the moment he gave up his weapons of mass destruction to come in out of the cold, who came to Libya? It was Richard Pearl. And where did he go? He went directly to Benghazi, because it was from Benghazi that Gaddafi overthrew the king. He's from that area of the world. So now they never did like Gaddafi, so they started stimulating the upset, the unrest, the dissatisfaction. And I don't care how good any leader is, there's always dissatisfaction in every house. And our government has gone into nations with money from our Congress to stimulate the dissatisfied and then arm them against a government that is their government. That's what America did in Libya. That's what they're doing in Syria. And the blowback now is they have created a refugee crisis that is destabilizing the countries in Europe. So when Mr. Trump said we can't allow these Muslims, refugees, into America.
Donald J. Trump is calling for a total and complete shutdown of Muslims entering the United States until our country's representatives can figure out what the hell is going on.
We don't have the systems in place on the ground to collect the information to vet. That would be the concern.
Yes, I think that's the challenge we're all talking about, is that we can only query against that which we have collected.
You can't account for what you don't know, and that goes to the intelligence deficit that I think is embedded in your question.
We may have somebody who comes to us and is simply not on our radar for any discernible reason. And there may also be the possibility that somebody decides to do something bad after they've been admitted through the process.
Now, a lot of people were upset with him, but I know, sir, that the hatred for America in the Muslim world is building. As we told Mr. Bush, no Muslim leader could call for jihad and have it stick. No Muslim leader had the power to unite the whole Muslim world. I said, but America's policies will unite those people against the West, and it is happening. So in this way, Mr. Trump, I think, is wise to vet anyone coming from that area into America, because the hatred for America is in the streets now. So if those people are refugees and America feels I gotta let 10,000 of them in because America created the problem. Now, if you let them in and you don't vet them carefully, you might be letting in your own destruction. I'll close that, Mr. Jones, with scripture. In the book of Revelations, it talks about Babylon falling. Ancient Babylon we know, but there's a mystery Babylon that the Honorable Elijah Muhammad says represents America and her dominance in the world. Now here we have Babylon falling. Mr. Trump says, I want to make America great again. The American people know that something is wrong because the country is not what it once was, doesn't have the influence that it once had, and even though militarily it is the strongest nation on the earth, it's $19 trillion in debt. It can never pay that debt. So 57% of the budget goes to produce more and more weapons, because that's the only way America can threaten China, who America has borrowed trillions of dollars from. If China calls the debt, what happens to America and the dollar? The dollar is weak, as you know, and it started with the loss of the congressional mandate in the Constitution to mint the money. There's so much conspiracy that we could be here all day, but I'll close with this, sir. Babylon is falling, it says, and has become a habitation of devils and a hole for every wicked spirit, and a cage for every unclean and hateful bird. My teacher said, Babylon is America, and the devil means that all of us are in rebellion against the divine laws of God. Whatever God said thou shalt not do, in America, you're free to do it. So whether we like the appellation devil or not, we are in rebellion against God. And look at the cage of every foul, unclean, and hateful bird. Those are the people, he said, that are flying out of the Middle East now, coming to America for refuge. But they're filled with hate of this country. So if Mr. Trump and the government is wise, you vet the people that are coming in.